Alright, today I'm going to go ahead and do a review on the Stihl MS170. It is a nice chainsaw. It was a very small chainsaw. This chainsaw only cost me, after taxes and everything, it was 190 bucks. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to start it up, or at least how I start it up. You should not start chainsaws like this, but this is the way that I do it. First thing I do is press the trigger, take it down the choke, release everything. Wait till I hear it try to start up, and then what I do is I bypass the half choke and go all the way up there to the number 1, or the start. I don't do this the way you're supposed to do it. This is just the way that I do it, and the way I've always done it, what works best for me. I'm not recommending it. I'm not saying you should do it like this, but this is the way I do it. So I put it on the full run, and then I hold the trigger. And that's just what works for me, and has always worked the best for me. It's very dangerous because, I mean, you're starting it, and I like to make sure the brake's off when I do it too, which of course also is not recommended. Alright, so I bought this saw probably a month or so ago, and I've done quite a bit with it. As you can see here, I processed all this wood. So far with that saw, I've also cleared over a mile of very, very dense trail. Dense, you know, I made a trail through very dense woods with that saw as well, which is especially hard on saws because of roots and just everything else. So that's, and it's held up very, very good for me. And the way I sharpen it is, and I'm still on the same chain, the one that it came with. The way I sharpen it is I use a Dremel, and I just use a larger. I have a video on that as well, and that just works very good for me. All right, so this is your typical thing you're going to be cutting with a saw that is this small, but I'm also going to show an example of doing something that you should not be doing with a very small saw. I forgot to put gas in it. The fueling up with this is pretty easy. I like to use this. Just kick that off. Kick that off. Make sure you're using your 50-to-1 mix. Go ahead and fill her on up. This can's been all right for me. It's a little bit slow to pour out. Now, I just use the pre-mixed, the little containers of 2-cycle oil. Just fill this here with a gallon, then just slap one of those in there. It's just so much easier. One thing I have noticed with this saw is I do have to tighten the blade up a bit. A lot, you know, a little bit more than you would with a larger saw. And they have one that's comparable to this, but when I was buying this one, I think it might be newer, just different. But, and you can't just drop start it like I did. Like, I guess it's extra safety stuff or something. Like, I mean, I'd grab that thing and I'd try to start it one day not thinking, and I'd just break it. So I was like, there's no way I want that one. I think it was the same price point and everything. But, and I noticed I have to sharpen, or I have to tighten this up more when I'm doing like the trail work and stuff like that, as opposed to this kind of stuff. And I do not like this stupid little plastic thing. I wish it was metal, but it is what it is. And tighten and loosen the chain, just undo these like normal. It doesn't have that. It looks like it does, but it doesn't. You gotta do it like this, from here, to tighten and loosen, which is kind of meh. All right, so back to where we were before I forgot to put gas in the saw. So this is typically what you'd be doing with a smaller saw like this. And as you can see, no issues. All right, now this is a 16-inch bar. That's not going to cut it. This is a little bit larger than what you want to use a saw of this size for, bar wise and CC wise. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I use this to tackle a really large job here. Alright, so as you can see, I went ahead and processed it down with the chainsaw so that I can handle it without tearing my back up and put it on there, and without doing all that newbie putting the freaking thing up like this, vertical, even though that does do that. As long as you use it correctly, I mean, you can do pretty much anything with the Stihl MS170 that you can do with a much larger saw. Not nothing too big, but it's a really good saw. And just make sure you don't get the one that, whatever the heck he was explaining, you gotta like put it down and pull a little bit. I don't know, but don't get that one. I mean, unless you, I don't know who the heck's that, who that's for, but it's not for me or anyone who uses a freaking chainsaw. Into the video outtake session. S. Sandy S with sawdust on her back is sitting on the four-wheeler and
I'm eating my lunch.
Eating her lunch and reading her book. What book are you reading?
The Wheel of Time.
Ah.
Book number 13 in a series of 14 books.
Wow, that's a lot of reading. All right, this here book, or I mean, not book. This is an oak tree, and I took the limb off it, as you can see there. And I mean, there's the scale of the largeness of this tree is just insane. I mean, it's like it's huge. And I wanted to save it because, see, it had all that weight right there. So I just took that one limb off. I mean, that limb is, it's like a freaking tree. It's huge. So, I mean, I don't even know how to do a scale on this, but it was going to end up making this whole tree fall over, because as you can see, this side of it's leaning that way, and this side of it's got a stream running next to it. So, I mean, the whole tree was going to go. I mean, that thing, I don't even know. I mean, it's like, if you were to put a line through the middle of that tree, you'd easily get 6 foot. I mean, it's huge. It's a very big, old, large tree. So, and that's why I'm using this as firewood. I mean, you couldn't do anything else with this. With this old, I mean, you could, but it wouldn't be real easy to mill up or anything like that. So, that's why this limb is a very good candidate for firewood. Bonus clip at end of video number 2. This is an old Durr 20-ton splitter. It's got a new cheap Predator engine on it, and the return on the hydraulics doesn't work. Like generally with this, you would just do that and it would hold until it, that doesn't work, so that's why I got to manually hold it. And it's a little bit slow as well. I mean, it's just older, it needs new pumps, and it needs, the hydraulics on this thing needs some work. But okay, so as far as this is concerned, I mean, this is so essential to making this easy. And all it is it's a piece of wood with 2 legs. And that right there just goes into the crotch. Just like slides right in there on that I-beam. And then I can take this when I'm done and move it over so that it is over top of the engine, keeps the morning dew and rain and stuff off of it. Just makes it it's a nice little tip if you don't do that. And if you're in the woods cutting firewood and stuff, don't do it in the morning or the afternoon, just like during hunting season, because people are out here hunting. So if you're going to be in the woods with a chainsaw or anything, please do it in the middle of the day.
So, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.